Hello, everybody. Welcome along again. It is predictions time, and joining me today, former England, Norwich, Crewe, West Ham striker Dean Ashton. Dino, are you ready to take on the might of the most stupid division in football?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, it's probably the most difficult task I've had all
There you
season.
go. Tactically, I always give the guest the choice. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first, or shall we round robin it? What do you reckon?
I think I'd like to lay down the marker, to be honest, one at a time. Though you after me. I think on every single game. I think
You're
it'll
going
be
to go
good.
first. That is tremendous. I love the bravery, and let's step straight in. And the bravery extends to Dean's former club because they're on Friday night first. Middlesbrough versus Norwich. Difficult one for your old boys, Dean.
Yes, it is. But they'd much prefer it to be away than they would at Carrow Road, where they've been really, really poor, very disappointing. So I think they'll relish going up there, and with Middlesbrough obviously having a right old wobble, but, I think they'll really fancy their chances. I don't think it'll be easy. I found it difficult to really come to a conclusion, which is why I've gone for a draw.
Scoring draw. Give me a scoreline, Dino.
I fancy it to be a bit of a weekend kickstart 2-2.
As soon as you said you couldn't call it, I knew you were going Desmond on this one because it does scream both teams to score, doesn't it? I think you might be overplaying Middlesbrough's wobble slightly, but certainly at the back they're looking leakier than they were. I think it is both teams to score. I think Borough are going to win it, Dean. So I'm going to go 2-1 Borough on Friday night, which would close the gap up on Sheffield United slightly. And obviously, all respect to Luton, who are in between in that gap before their fans beat up on me in the comments. Sheffield United go first, Dean, on Saturday. Blades versus Cardiff. 4 home games in a row for Sheffield United now to close this out.
Yeah, I don't think they'd want anything more, to be honest. I think that they'll comfortably make promotion with having those games at home with that support behind them. Having played at Bramall Lane a couple of times, it can be very good, the noise levels in there. So I think even if they're struggling, that will be enough really. In Cardiff, they're a side you probably do want to play. I know they've improved slightly, but it's not like you would expect a Cardiff side to come and score lots of goals against you. I don't think they're that type of team for sure. So I actually see this as quite a comfortable early kickoff for Sheffield United. Actually, I've actually gone 3-0.
Wow, good. Because I was hoping you weren't going to say 2-0 because I didn't want to double up. I agree with you. I can't see Cardiff scoring. The only thing I think that will they get nervous? I don't know. You know what it's like at this time of the season. The legs get a bit heavy. But yeah, I don't see Cardiff scoring. I do see Sheffield United winning. I will go 1 goal fewer though. I'll go 2-0 to the Blades. And Watford, who we've had fun backing against recently, is their terrible run going to continue at home to Bristol City? They did get a point at Coventry, didn't they?
They did, but they're not right. There's something not right, is there? It looked like Britt Assombalonga would be maybe an answer to a couple of their issues, and he goes and gets injured early on in that last game. So then you think, well, who's he going to go with? Is it a settled side? I think they probably feel like they're out of it as well. And I know as a player that could be difficult to be as motivated as those teams that expect something. And it's the same for Bristol City, which again, it screams a draw for me when you've got two sides that just haven't got that intensity levels that I think you need at this time of the season. And I actually thought Bristol City were much improved against Middlesbrough, especially in that first half. So I think they'll sneak a draw. I'm going to go 1-1.
I was going there. I'm not going to double up. It does scream of the beach, doesn't it? Loose. In which case, no, I will go draw.
Don't let me influence
well, you have now.
Ben.
That's the issue. I thought you were foolhardy.
That's why
I thought you were foolhardy to go first, but you're in there now, aren't you? In there. Dino, I'll go 2-2. I do think it's going to be a draw. I was going to go 1-1, but I'll go 2-2. Now, we'll move on to Stoke versus West Brom. Just when you think Stoke getting it right for once, as they've tended to do over the past 3 years, they've slip a little bit. West Brom noticeably worse away from home than they are at home. Stoke v West Brom, the Gary Megson derby. Gary Megson managed Stoke? I think he did, didn't he? Anyway, I'm probably wrong about that. Move on. Stoke West Brom, Dino.
Again, I mean, West Brom are poor away, and Stoke aren't exactly electric at home. You know, they've lost far too many games in front of their own support this season. But I think they're going to sneak this. I think, again, with West Brom, you know, they've got a chance of the playoffs, but do they really believe that? Did they play with the passion that was required in the last game? I didn't feel like they did. I don't think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be pretty tight, which is why I've gone Stoke just to nick it 1-0.
Yeah, smacks of a 1-0. I think I'll go with your narrative, but I'm going to go all in on that narrative, Dean. 0-0, Stoke v West Brom. No goals, but I've got to throw one in, haven't I? Incoming 3-3 draw there. QPR v Coventry. Any signs of QPR that comeback at West Brom? Is that psychological corner turned, or will it be 1-0 down after 3 minutes again?
Possibly. I think it will make a difference, and I think you could see with playing Dykes up there and Martin how that can work with his chair having that bit of freedom to go left and right and cross at will. I can see Coventry are so good defensive, and I think crossing is one of their strengths, is what they'll be able to deal with. So I've just got a real strong feeling for Coventry in this game. I think they still think they've got a big chance of making the playoffs, and for me, they are the sort of dark horses with the squad that they've got. And I think even though Gareth Ainsworth gave it the big chest pump back at home, I think it could struggle against a really resolute Coventry. So a 1-0 Cov win.
I've backed against QPR probably 7 shows in a row now. So I'll go down the middle. I'll go for a draw. Like you, I think Coventry favourites. I say this every week. If it was at Coventry, I'd be well on them. But maybe home advantage might make some difference. So I'll go for a very boring 1-1 draw.
Very, very difficult. That was probably one of the most difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
You can make a case for all type of results.
Good.
I think.
Excellent disclaimer work there, Dino. I like it. Blackpool versus Wigan. These 2 League One sides next season.
Yeah, and I reckon they're going to stink the place out. This is my 0-0. This is completely gone. You know, feel like there's no way back. Just want to be swallowed up and spat out back into League One. So, and again, you know, 2 teams, you know, that could score goals, but I don't think they're free flowing, and I think it'll be more of a cagey, lacking any real intensity again.
So I'll go the other way then. I'll go nothing to play for, but a really loose game, which I think would probably favour Blackpool, Dean, wouldn't it? I think we're going to kind of set up to contain and stop. So I'll go for a Blackpool win. I said loose, didn't I? So I can't go 1-0. Let's go 2-1. So we go both teams to score 2-1 Blackpool. This one's juicy, for goodness sake. Millwall versus Preston. Millwall stalling, haven't scored in the last 4. Preston are the hot hand, but Preston fans haven't liked me pointing out, the run has come against lower ranking teams. You'll tell me now, as a player, whether you can now take that away to Millwall and beat a head-to-head rival. Millwall v Preston.
Yeah, I think you make some really good points. But what it does is it gives you massive confidence. You've got a guy in Cannon that's free-flowing, scoring goals. I thought the team were very good and deserved the victory against Reading. But I think Millwall will score in this. I think they'll finally get a goal, but I think they're going to lose. I really like Preston away from home. The way they set up, it really suits the players that he's got there. And I fancy them to continue their little run and be looking at getting into the playoffs. I've gone 2-1 to Preston.
Goodness me. Being you've done that, just to annoy you and the Preston fans, I'll do the exact opposite then. I'll back Millwall against my better judgment, because all the logic comes to your conclusion, doesn't it? That the trends are going a bit like that, aren't they, with Preston? So let's go for Millwall to bounce back. And let's be fair, the only way Millwall win this game is shutting out Cannon, clean sheet, nick a goal, 1-0. So I'll go for that narrative. Millwall 1, Preston 0. And I invite the comments from the Preston fans. I know they're going to bury me if that turns out the wrong way. They've got every right to. Swansea versus Huddersfield, Dino. Are we all on the Warnock train still?
I think
Just quickly, Dino,
Neil
the
Warnock,
possession stats in this one could just be brilliant, couldn't they?
I know. But this is what Warnock will love. I think he will thrive against a manager that likes to play in the manner that Russell Martin sides do. They're always really easy on the eye. But when it comes to the crunch, can they really deliver? And I think Warnock's going to go, you can't, and we're going to show you why. But I can't see them continuing quite in the same vein. But I think they'll get a point. I think they will score from a set play, but Swansea will have all the ball. They'll score. Pearson again, yeah. He's 5th in 4. So I've gone 1-1.
Yeah. Well, we know what the game's going to look like. We just don't know what the score's going to be, do we? It's who executes. You're right. Swansea are scoring in this game, aren't they? Huddersfield aren't going to concede 89% possession and not concede a goal. But will they win? I'm just finding it funny now, so I'm going to back Huddersfield. Swansea 1, Huddersfield 2, and Warnock, the cat that's got the cream. Sunderland v Birmingham. Dean, Sunderland can still get in the playoffs. They're not miles and miles off it, were they, to put a run together? How do you see this one going?
I've been really impressed with them. I've watched them in a couple of games very recently. Been really, really impressed with the way that they've played. They've scored a couple of cracking goals as well, team goals, because they haven't got that recognised striker that you just hit and he'll score you the goals. Gelhardt was dropped in the last game. I could see him coming back for this. Decent game against Birmingham, this one, in front of their own fans. I think they're going to win comfortably, I think, Sunderland. They'll concede, but 3-1.
Yeah, I like that. I like that so much. I'll copy it and make it slightly more conservative and less brave. So I will go 2-1 to Sunderland. And this is an interesting one. Reading versus Burnley. We know if Burnley go coast to coast now the last 6 games, they beat Reading's record. Reading are absolutely up to their necks in trouble here. Is this the nailed on away win it looks like, Dean?
I think it is. It's not like they've secured promotion and then maybe took their foot off. I don't think it doesn't look like that at all, to be honest. And I think he'll be screaming in their ears about exactly what you've just said about. So again, Reading are better at home, but with obviously Paul Ince leaving his I don't think that's going to make any difference against such a good side who are going to have pretty much all of the ball. A really comfortable, celebratory promotion 3-0.
Go on. If I went more conservative last time, let's be ridiculous. 4-0 to Burnley. I like Noel Hunt. We had him at Ipswich, but you're right. It's an absolute hospital pass for the last 6 games, isn't it? So, yeah. And I have to say, Dino, looking at the fixtures, I know it's easy to say when Burnley have only lost 2 games all season. I'm not seeing where they're losing in these last few. So the never beatable record could actually be on. Finally, Blackburn versus Hull. Now I know you saw a fair bit of Blackburn Huddersfield at the weekend. Are they still as scatty as ever? Can you see them beating Hull?
I can, which is why I've got them to win, because again, I was really, really impressed with them against Huddersfield. Absolutely battered them. Lots of great football, lots of chances created, and they've done that in a couple of games recently where they haven't perhaps got the rewards for it. But I think they will against Hull, albeit a really improved Hull, resolute, difficult to beat. But Blackburn and their home record, I'm seeing a 2-0 victory.
Yeah. I think there's enough. Yeah, I think maybe they haven't got what they deserved past couple of games. They could easily have cruised through, and if that Huddersfield Blackburn game plays out 10 times that way, they'll probably win it 7 or 8 times. Don't know. I know that's a trite, meaningless cliche, but you know what I'm saying. I think it went against them. So I'll go slightly more conservative than you, and I will go 1-0. Dino, the leaderboard has.
Hang on. Have we done Rotherham?
Have we not done Rotherham? That's a great shout. Sorry. Where did I? Oh, wow. I completely missed them out. Huge apologies. Rotherham versus Luton. Dino, well done. Thank you. I've got absolute pelters for that in the comments. Rotherham versus Luton, Dino. Sorry. Luton into third spot and maybe the biggest challenges to Sheffield United now.
I've only remembered because this was one of the three toughest ones to call just because of Rotherham's home record. But Luton, what a side they have been this season. You know, those two up top, you know, defensively, a totally different team. Going away, though, at Rotherham, difficult, but they'll match them physically. They'll really fancy it. They'll want to keep that level up. I think a double from Morris, 2-0 Luton.
Yeah, great job by both, actually, isn't it? They're both really, really punching. I think if you'd have said to Luton, you improve on last season where they got in the playoffs and finished sixth, and if you said to Rotherham, just into these last games, have it in your hands, and they've both done really well. This all sounds like I'm setting up the poor Rotherham fans for disappointment, which I am, because I'll join you. I'll back Luton. They've still got the Nathan Jones 1-0 away streak in them, haven't they? So I will go for a 1-0. And apologies, we missed that out. That sketched over that on the running order. Hopefully we've done all of them. Dino, the leaderboard has Matt, I'm good at everything, Holland at the top. I know. Sam Parkin and Hugh Woolsencroft in there as well. Ali Maxwell, Annie we had on from Robin's talk last week. Are you a top 5 kind of guy sliding in there?
Well, I have been in one of these predictor leagues with, like, you know, commentators and co-commentators and pundits and things like that for the last couple of seasons. I've not done it since the start of the season this season because I was sick of Matt Holland.
Really? He's the worst, isn't he?
Being at the top of the leaderboard, and I find it really, really difficult because all of my logic, as I've just talked about there, seems like that I should be there or thereabouts. And I know we will come to look back after the weekend, and I'll go, but how has that not worked? But I hope to get a few. If I can sneak. Well, at least I don't want to be last. That's the main thing. I
don't think you're going to be last. You really have to bomb it out, and hopefully, as we get to the end of the season, things get more staid and predictable. Dean is now going to hang around with me on Patreon. We're going to talk some Norwich and where they stand, a bit about some Crewe, some West Ham, hopefully a bit about Dino's career. Come and join us, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. And as ever, get involved with your predictions down there in the comments. Remember, predictions, we want to hear from you before the games are played, not after.